Alright guys and girls, these are the directions for the Coaster Creator Post Lab. So these go after the lab that you guys worked on last time where you were creating successful roller coasters. Alright, so the first thing you're supposed to do, it says before answering the questions about your own successful roller coaster, you're going to respond to these. And they've given us those pictures that you get at the end of your roller coaster that shows at each point during the ride the potential energy in red, the kinetic energy in green, and the thermal energy in orange. So this is the same roller coaster. You can see that they look the same, but they've been sliding this point across, and you'll notice when you look at yours later that you can actually do the same thing with yours. All right. So the first point here is right at the beginning of the roller coaster. There's lots of potential energy, so you can probably imagine what the roller coaster is doing. And then the second point is over here, slid to the right just a little bit, and you can see that it's at a point where there's lots of kinetic energy going on there. All right, now these do have numbers here: kinetic, potential, thermal, mass, speed, height, and I know that they're difficult to read on your paper, so after this video I will display them so you can just copy them down here for A and B. All right. Once you have those copied down, you'll be answering questions comparing the numbers, like what do you notice about the relationship between potential energy and height? In other words, as the height gets bigger, what's happening to the potential energy? So you can say like it's getting bigger too, or it's getting smaller, or maybe it's whatever relationship you think of. And then letter D, what do you notice about the relationship between kinetic energy and height? So now we're looking at what happens to the kinetic energy when we get higher in the roller coaster versus lower. Letter E, what do you notice about the relationship between kinetic energy and speed? And then F, potential energy and speed. Finally, you get to go back to your roller coaster, and hopefully you were able to create a successful roller coaster, but if not, you can try again to get one that works. You need one that works. Once you have one that works, you're going to record some data. So let me click on my working roller coaster somewhere. There it is. So you can, here's my track, and I'll let you watch it. So this is the Blazing Blue Toucan. Notice my mass is 300 kilograms. And here my height is increasing. My potential energy is also increasing. It's kind of interesting to watch the thermal energy. Okay, so you notice that right now it's stopping, and all I have left here is red and orange.
Wow, great job. You were able to convert potential energy into enough.
Alright, so here's my graph at the end. Here's the, you can kind of almost tell where the roller coaster was going up and down hills. You're going to take this information and you're going to use the colored pencils again to record that in this box. So you're basically recreating this picture right here. Okay. Then you're going to answer some questions. Explain what your roller coaster is doing at the point where there is no longer any green. How would this graph be different if your roller coaster crashed? So you'll look at mine and you can see I have green the whole time except for right at the end, the green is gone. Now, if my roller coaster had crashed, would this still have looked like this, or would I have different colors going on right in this location? So that's what they're asking. And then circle the place on the roller coaster you think this represents where your carts were traveling their fastest, and write the word maximum speed in the circle. So on this picture, you're going to circle where you think your coaster was traveling its fastest. So do you think it was traveling its fastest up here, 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 wherever you think it is. And then explain how you knew this is where your carts were traveling the fastest. So don't just circle, also explain. Number 3, use the arrow slider on your own results page to help you answer the following questions. So once again, you can see I can move this slider across, and as I do that, all my numbers are changing. Okay, these 3 numbers are changing, and my mass, speed, and height are changing as well. So you're going to use that slider to help answer A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then finally, number 4, ask you to think about if you had to give like a hint, like let's say like a 4th grader came in and was having trouble, what would you give them for like a secret behind making the roller coaster successful? And you can tell them, use words like height, speed, friction. If you can potentially talk about energy conversion, sorry, wow, can't speak, that would be really good as well. So if you need to view this video again, it will be posted into the resources part of the Google Classroom. All right, good luck.